The evil monk preached, the black and white impermanence spilled money, the 9 dragons pulled the coffin, and Guan Gong, who opened his eyes, acted as the carriage driver. On both sides of the dragon's head sat Nezha, who was stirring the sea, and Red Boy, who was burning the mountain. On the coffin, there is still a fierce monk with a dragon tattoo sitting. After the 10 halls of Yanluo residence, 100 ghosts follow the form. The coffin was half opened, revealing a headless corpse. On the side of the headless corpse, there was also a giant axe shining with cold light. As the only tattoo master in Renjia town, my hands were trembling as I looked at the pattern in my hand. Because this is a tattoo blueprint. The evil monk tattooed his arm, which was impermanent with black on the left and white on the right. Carrying the 9 dragons to pull the coffin, the 2 children sat on their shoulders. Wrapped around his waist are 10 halls of Yanluo, and his legs are full of ghosts and monsters. If this is done, with both hands raised, looking from behind, it's like a funeral procession. That's right. A fierce funeral procession to the extreme. The most crucial thing is that there are also 2 secondary images, the closed-eyed Guanyin riding on the emperor's heavenly treasure. This is to be tattooed on the soles of the feet. Do you dare to believe that stepping on Guanyin and Dizang? Anyway, he looks scared and scared. Gulu. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva and said, "Young Master Su, you can't carry this tattoo on your back. Listen to Su Bo's advice." Keywords of the novel. The Awakening of the Heavenly Master. Opening the 9 Dragons Coffin Town, killing zombies with no pop-ups, The Awakening of the Heavenly Master. Opening the 9 Dragons Coffin Town, killing zombies. Download the complete text, The Awakening of the Heavenly Master. Opening the 9 Dragons Coffin Town, killing zombies. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. You can't move your back. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. You can't move your back in a very stylish modern 3-story villa. A burly young man is sitting on a rocking chair. At the same time, the only person in the town who knew how to tattoo was taken to the Su mansion. The young man nodded politely when he saw the visitor and said, "Uncle Su, you're here. Look at this, can you get the tattoo done within 3 days?" As he spoke, he handed over the already prepared drawings. The person known as Su Bo respectfully took over. But as soon as he looked at the blueprint, his eyes widened and his hands trembled. Gulu. He couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva, his eyes filled with fear, even a hint of terror. Finally, trembling, he asked, "Master Su, are you sure you want this tattoo?" Su Jun nodded and said humanely, "Uncle Su, give me a tattoo." Upon hearing this, Uncle Su furrowed his brow and advised, "Master Su, he is a kind and generous person, and most people in the town have received his favor. I am no exception. In theory, Master Su is on a mission, and it is his duty. But you. Listen to my advice, don't just tattoo all of these together. You can't even carry any of them on your back. If it were all tattooed, no matter how hard your life is, you would end up with an unhappy ending." Su Jun couldn't help but smile bitterly upon hearing this and said, "Uncle Su woke up today and I received the love letter that caused panic throughout the town." Ah, this. Uncle Su stood there, his eyes filled with shock and a hint of fear. At the same time, there is also some sympathy and pity. Because so far, no one who has received a love letter has lived through the night of the 3rd day. I also understood in my heart the reason why Su Jun wanted a tattoo, which was to scare ghosts. In his heart, he said to himself, "That's right. Who knows how to tattoo these things? You're not going to die anymore." Su Jun couldn't help but smile bitterly. No normal person has nothing to do with tattoos. Love letter. Over the past half-month, a female ghost has appeared in the town. Anyone who receives this love letter will die tragically within 3 days. No exceptions. Unfortunately, at this moment, The only person with true abilities is now Su Jun's only savior. But unfortunately, this savior is not in town yet, which is troublesome. What about him? Originally, it was just a student from Wuhan University on the Green Star. I never thought I would wake up and become the son of a wealthy businessman in the small town. Although the Su family is far from being the richest person in a town, it cannot be underestimated. He originally thought it was a big good thing. Because before crossing over, he was still an orphan who had to rely on someone else to support his education. Now, a truly wealthy second generation. He has already started looking forward to the future, not to mention any more. Set a small goal first, marry him 10 or 8 little girls, anyway, it's reasonable, and legal now. The key is that there is still money left now, and one can become arrogant. After all, no matter how much, one can afford it. The most crucial thing is that he is still a martial arts enthusiast. Let's not talk about his skills for now. This physique is impressive, even 7 times a night is not a problem. It can be said that he is extraordinary in martial arts and has money. You said that this condition, not having 3 wives and 4 concubines, and not having a few mistresses or a football team, is really sorry for his condition, let alone his time traveling. Is this the reason? Just ask, is this the reason? But that's good. I only traveled a few days ago. I just found a beautiful woman who wants to come and propose a marriage. As a result, when he woke up, he had an extra love letter by the bedside. And it's also, during this period, the love letter that went viral, who received the love letter from the female ghost who died. Are you saying it's troublesome or not? Wait for him at least, marry 1 or 2 wives and concubines, and enjoy it well. Come again. At least let him keep a seed for now. Don't let him come for nothing, do you think so? Before crossing over, he was a young man who had never even held a woman's hand, so it would be too much to hang up as another young man. It's really unlucky. Roast belongs to roast, but at that time, his heart was also very flustered. Do you think you cannot panic? This is a female ghost. And he is just an ordinary person, which is almost a dead-end situation. At least, he can be considered a person of 2 generations. I quickly calmed down and thought about how to deal with ghosts. Red Dragon. In previous life novels, the easiest to obtain is the divine object for dealing with ghosts. And as long as you find a woman with relatives, it's very convenient. But the problem is that it smells too strong. I can't bear it. A statue. But the statue also needs to be kept at all times, it's not just about finding one. Black dog blood. This is also a relatively easy to find thing. But besides that, what can we deal with ghosts? Sha-Chi. Those people who kill people like crazy, ordinary ghosts would shy away when they see them. But he can't go kill anyone, can he? Thinking of this, Su Jun couldn't help but brighten his eyes. If a person wants to have evil energy, besides killing life, there is another quick way, which is to get a tattoo, and it's the more aggressive the better. But what kind of tattoo is the most ferocious? Zombie black and white impermanence. 10 halls of Yanluo. Guan Gong with open eyes. Guanyin with closed eyes. Su Jun fell into a dilemma, and after a long time, he already had the first draft in his mind. After careful consideration, the final decision was made. So there was the matter of inviting Uncle Su into the mansion. Su Jun let out a breath, regained consciousness from his memories, and then said, "Could you please start with Uncle Su?" Uncle Su shook his head and said, "Su Dashao, you have too many tattoos. If you really want to get them all tattooed, it's almost like peeling the skin. It hurts so much. I suggest getting 2 tattoos first." Su Jun said, "It's okay. I have already obtained painkillers from the Western doctors in town. As long as I take this medicine, I won't feel any pain. So, just go ahead and start." Uncle Su was taken aback by the words and said, Su Dashao, you really have a thoughtful mind. Then he asked again, do Su Dashao want a regular tattoo or a blood tattoo? Blood tattoo. Su Jun looked surprised. He had never had a tattoo before and was not very familiar with tattoos. So, blood tattoos are really the first time I've heard of them. Uncle Su seemed to have anticipated that Su Jun would not know for a long time, and immediately began to explain, blood tattoos are all tattoos that are done all over, but without any pigment. This way, it feels like they have not been tattooed. After 2 days, they will be tattooed again. However, this time, they will be done with a pigment made of pigeon blood and cinnabar. Su Jun was curious and said, so, you have to suffer twice. But is there anything special about this? Uncle Su nodded and said, it's very special. You can't usually see patterns on pigeon blood lines. You need blood to flow quickly and generate a certain amount of heat in your body before you can see the patterns on them. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. This is not a serious ghost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. This is not a serious ghost. When Uncle Su said these words, Su Jun was completely stunned. Su Jun's eyes narrowed and his heart was filled with determination. Female ghost, no matter how fierce you are, I will fight with you. At best, I will become an undead knight and completely surrender you. I really don't believe it. But soon, something came to mind. Su Jun's eyes lit up and he said, wait. Besides pigeon blood, can we use our own blood? Or can we use the blood of other animals? What? Uncle Su was stunned and looked puzzled. It's the first time I've encountered this problem, having tattooed blood for a lifetime. After thinking for a moment, he nodded and said, although I haven't tried, it shouldn't be a big problem. After all, the blood between animals is not very different. At the end, his tone became somewhat uncertain. And Su Jun was excited. Mix black dog blood and Zhu Sha. Black dog blood. Uncle Su couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, but his eyes lit up as well. You should know that dogs are the animals of the highest yang, and their corresponding 12 earthly branches and 5 elements are Su soil, which is also yang soil. Since ancient times, Taoist priests have used black dog blood to ward off evil and treat demons by using yang to control yin. If it were a boy and a black dog, then the innate yang energy would be the purest, and it would be a priority for all Taoists. Coincidentally, his family only has a few dogs, including one black dog, which is also small. Pure boy black dog. As soon as he thought of this, Uncle Su immediately said, I'll go get black dog blood now. 3 days later, it was gradually getting dark. Su Jun sat in the Su family courtyard, in a room of only 3 square meters. Looking at the brightness of the sky through the open door. Murmured, murder night with black moon and high wind. This small room was created by him in the past 3 days at his command. Specially prepared for the female ghost in red. Time passes by little, and the hour of Zisher will soon arrive. This is the time of the day when Yin Qi is the heaviest. It's also a place where ghosts and monsters often appear. Brush, a gentle breeze blew by, and Su Jun couldn't help but shudder because it was different from the usual wind. It's very chilly. Su Jun's face changed greatly. Next second. Behind him, he was hit hard. The whole person was knocked out and hit hard against the wall. Fortunately, he was already prepared and supported himself with both hands. Not suffered too much harm. Ah! At the same time, a mournful scream sounded. Su Jun immediately turned around and saw a young girl holding her right hand, in extreme pain there. At this moment, she was looking at Su Jun with a very fierce gaze. Just like how a beast looks at its own food. Su Jun was stunned, because the female ghost in front of him was too different from the one he had imagined. Her body was covered in red clothes, her slender jade neck was covered with a crispy chest like condensed white jade, half covered and half covered. Her bare waist was tied up, but it didn't fit well. Her slender and well-proportioned legs were exposed, and even her beautiful lotus feet were silently enchanting, sending out tempting invitations. This woman's attire is undoubtedly extremely glamorous, but compared to her demeanor, this glamour seems to be much inferior. Although her big eyes are fierce, they give people a sense of smiling, playful, and demonic. The water shrouds the mist and lingers on the ground, seductive and alluring. The small corners of her mouth slightly curl up, her red lips slightly open, and she wants to attract a kiss and be plump. This is a woman who exudes a seductive charm from her bones. She seems to be constantly tempting men and affecting their nerves. This is not a serious ghost. This is Su Jun's judgment. A serious ghost, who looks like this, who would dress like this. Aren't they all ferocious? Aren't they all terrifying-looking ones? If female ghosts all look like this, he believes that there is definitely no shortage of undead knights in this world. Everyone wants to be Ning Kaichen. At this moment, Su Jun didn't have much heart to turn and appreciate. His eyes were filled with fear and a hint of fear. Although he was already prepared, he was not afraid of the absolute falsehood when things came to an end. Don't look at the female ghost with jade hands and delicate hands on the other side. In fact, with just one blow, you can pull out the heart of an ordinary person. However, it was not just him who was afraid in his heart. When he just touched Su Jun, the female ghost also suffered great damage. Make her have to give up the attack. At this moment, Su Jun also came to his senses. Looking at the female ghost in front of her, the corner of her mouth slightly raised and said, "After 3 days, I finally waited for you. Don't leave when you're here." As he spoke, he pounced directly at the female ghost, as she had just failed to strike and was instead injured, all of which were visible in his eyes. This also gave him courage. Collapse. The female ghost clearly did not expect that an ordinary human would retaliate. I was stunned for a moment. But it was in a moment of confusion that she was hit by Su Jun's elbow strike. Ah! The female ghost let out a mournful scream once again, and at this moment, a burst of green smoke emanated from the place where Su Jun had hit her. Obviously injured again. You want to die. The female ghost became angry, and before her words could be spoken, she disappeared without a trace. Then in an instant, he appeared behind Su Jun. At this moment, let go of your long sleeves. The long sleeves immediately flew out and stretched, and quickly rotated around Su Jun, directly wrapping Su Jun into Zongzi. Not good. Su Jun's face couldn't help but change greatly, because in the current situation, he couldn't move at all. But at this moment, he felt as if the blood inside his body was boiling. Immediately after, the whole body emitted blood, evil energy, and the ultimate yang energy. 3 strong energies interweave together to form a very special aura. Powerful yet evil. Wrap the blood cloth around him and explode directly. No, it exploded, and the clothes on him. The female ghost was startled and took 3 steps back in a row. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Merit System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Merit System. The next second almost opened up those charming ghost eyes. Really look, on your arm are the 4 great zombie ancestors. The General, the Empress, the Drought Dragon, and the Winning Hook, black and white impermanence are on both arms. Behind it is the 9 dragons' coffin, with the 2 dragon heads on either side of the 9 dragons, perfectly positioned on their shoulders. There are 2 children riding on it, one is Nezha who is causing trouble in the sea, and the other is Red Boy who is burning mountains. Opening your eyes is important, acting as a coachman. On top of the coffin sat a fierce monk with tattoos on his body. In the half-open coffin, there lay a headless corpse, with a giant axe shining cold beside him. At the waist, there are 10 halls of Yanluo. The buttocks and legs are all ghosts. If you raise your hands, the corpse ancestor will open the way, black and white impermanence will scatter paper money, the 9 dragons will pull the coffin, the 2 children will suppress the dragons, Guan Gong will open his eyes and drive, the Dharma Sea will recite the scriptures, the 10 halls of hell will follow, and the 100 ghosts will bid farewell. Isn't it just a funeral picture? And the characters in this picture are more and more ferocious. At the same time, the funeral procession seemed to have come to life. The characters on it stared at her one by one with eerie eyes. Trembling with fear. I really shudder. After being a ghost, she didn't even know what kind of feeling it was. Now, this funeral picture has given her another chance to experience it. Raoul has lived for nearly 100 years, and it is also the first time that someone has actually tattooed himself with this tattoo. How hard is this fate, how foolish is a person to get such a tattoo. Now she has some regrets, regretting finding such a person. She seriously doubted whether eating the person in front of her would affect her intelligence. But Su Jun saw a tattoo and surprisingly had such a miraculous effect, which immediately boosted his confidence. Take advantage of the female ghost's tattoo and turn around directly. But this turn shook the female ghost once again. Because Su Jun's chest was tattooed with a 4-elephant seal. The heart is located in vermilion bird, and some below are Xuanwu. On the other side, there is an upper green dragon and a lower white tiger. In the middle is a Buddha. However, it is a Buddha with half Buddha and half demon. This is a Buddhist and demonic thought. The key is that at this moment, the Buddha's eyes have already closed and a drop of blood and tears has flowed down. It seems that it has already been predicted that a great calamity will come. On the demon's side, the demon's eyes have already opened, with a hint of blood in their black eyes. Just a glance at it can make one deeply immersed and lose oneself. The corners of his mouth were even slightly raised, revealing an arrogant smile. As if the world was already under his control. Oh my goodness! This is a sealed Buddha statue. Under normal circumstances, what is sealed is a demon, not a Buddha. So is this the possessed Tathagata? Great ferocity, it can't be more ferocious. Keep looking down, okay. There are 4 Buddhas around the waist, but none of them are orthodox Buddhas. The first demon Buddha is Bo Sun, the second is Guanxi Buddha, and the third is the Heavenly Buddha. The fourth and last one, she wears a human head, a skull crown on her head, and a jewelry necklace on her body. Stepping on a demon with 1 foot, like being in a fire, possesses great power and authority. Especially the one who stepped on the demon with 1 foot, she was also a naked and exotic witch, extremely enchanting. She is the Golem Buddha Mother, the only female Buddha among the 4 great Buddhas with tattoos. Further down, there are 2 legs. 9 Arhat are tattooed on the front of each leg. Altogether, they are 18 Arhat, but they don't have any Buddha nature. Anyway, they are full of devil nature. Everyone is ferocious and evil. This is really. The female ghost said that the whole ghost was stunned. And at this moment, Su Jun also stood still for a moment, because at this moment, a pleasant lowly sound rang in his ear. Detected that the host is engaged in a fierce battle with the female ghost, Su Lao Mo's tattoo system is activated. Su Lao Mo's tattoo system. May I ask who Su Lao Mo is? Su Jun's past life can also be considered a person who has read thousands of books, and has never encountered one before. The system also has a name. I'm really impressed. System. Host, you don't have permission yet. Su Jun's face couldn't help but twitch, and now is not the time to be conflicted. After all, the most important thing is to understand what the system does. So, immediately said, System, could you introduce the functions of this Su Lao Mo tattoo system? System. Ding, as the name suggests, the Su Lao Mo tattoo system allows the host to consume the energy of ghosts and monsters to activate and enhance their tattoos. It can also obtain merit points. As long as the merit points are sufficient, any tattoo on the body can be actively activated. Even the characters on the tattoo can be summoned and possessed, gaining the power of slaying demons, and immortals. The power of tattoos. Su Jun was not stunned for a moment, and then the tattoos on his body kept appearing in his mind. First, there is the headless corpse in the coffin behind, and then there is the demon Buddha before the attack. These two are amazing, one is the god of war Xingtian, and the other is the possessed Tathagata. If we really activate these two people and summon them out. Not to mention in this world where spiritual energy is becoming increasingly scarce, even in the journey of gods and Buddhas to the West, one can still be called the Buddha as their ancestor. The lying trough is amazing. Speak slowly, but in reality, it is fast. Everything just now was Su Jun's psychological activity, so in fact, it was only in the blink of an eye. At this moment, when he looked at the female ghost again, his eyes had already changed. Seeing the female ghost, she couldn't help but be overjoyed that she hadn't recovered from his eerie tattoo. Good opportunity. Immediately seize the victory and pursue, punching the female ghost again. Ah, this. The female ghost was stunned again. You should know, 3 days ago when she came to deliver the love letter, the guy in front of her was just an ordinary person. But now not only did she get a weird tattoo, but she also took the initiative to attack her. Take a look again, at this point, because I completely went out of my way. His face was completely filled with a ferocious expression. It's even more terrifying than ghosts. Who the hell is a ghost? Her ghost view is a bit shattered. She panicked for a moment. However, her speed is still very fast. Directly dodged, narrowly avoiding Su Jun's blow. At the same time, I rushed towards the door. But at this moment, she realized that the door had already closed for some unknown reason. She just didn't pay much attention to it, just a door. As a ghost, she can be ethereal and can completely pass through the door. The next second, she rushed towards the door. Collapse, but she didn't succeed, instead she was completely crushed back. Ah! At this moment, the female ghost once again let out a mournful scream. And, the whole body burned up. It seems like I just hit something other than a door. But it's a Zhang Taoist talisman. And Su Jun saw the female ghost rushing towards the door, as if he had anticipated it earlier. Directly pounced and pinned the female ghost to the ground. To be honest, this is the first time I have seen such close contact with ghosts. Not to mention it, it feels quite special and wonderful. The most wonderful thing is that a ghost actually has a real feeling. Soft and bouncing. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Fear from Female Ghosts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Fear from female ghosts. Saying it, no one believes it. The female ghost couldn't help but react at this moment, and her anger surged in her heart. You rascal. Rogue. Su Jun was stunned for a moment, then showed a mischievous smile and said, I'm just a thug, what's going on? The female ghost now wants to cry, but she can't fight because the tattoo on this guy's body is too strange. With a palm strike, the other party is not doing anything yet. She herself was injured. I'm afraid I can't get out either. There is a similar eerie force above the gate. I guess the same goes for the walls and roofs. This has been arranged early, just waiting for her to come. She foolishly bumped into it. I was careless. I thought if the old thing Ku was not around, she could do whatever she wanted in this town. I never expected to encounter such a bad star. His already pale face turned even whiter, and he weakly said, in this legal society, what you're doing is illegal. Su Jun. He was speechless in an instant, but the female ghost's posture aroused his evil thoughts. It's a pity that such a beautiful female ghost was killed like this. How about becoming an undead knight first? At the thought of this, Su Jun's lips couldn't help but slightly curl up, which was definitely a good idea. So, the evil spirit smiled and said, "The laws of the world only protect people, but you are a ghost. Have you been a ghost for a long time, and your mind has become dull? However, don't you really say that as a less serious ghost, you are quite capable?" As he spoke, he added a few more forces to his hands. "You." The female ghost was furious, and the ghost aura on her body became surging. At the same time, there was a glint of blood in both eyes. But at this moment, the tattoo on Su Jun's body seemed to be coming back to life. Suddenly, the air surged into the sky. This chi is not only the evil energy brought by tattoos, but also the fusion of blood energy and a strange yang energy. It is obvious that this is not the activation of the tattoo, but the black dog blood on top of the tattoo has produced an effect. It is precisely the black dog blood tattoo that makes his tattoo inactive. Also possessing the power of a talisman. At this moment, the female ghost showed a terrified expression. Because the tattoo on Su Jun's body erupted, causing her ghostly body to become somewhat unstable. If Su Jun were to take action again, she would have to fly into ashes immediately. No, no, no. No, no. At this point, the female ghost no longer had the fierce and evil spirit she had before, but instead looked pitiful and delicate. Paired with her stunning appearance and perfect figure. And at this moment, her expression and tone. It's amazing. Gollum. Su Jun couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva, even though he knew it was a female ghost under his body. And it's also a very vicious female ghost that kills people. But this female ghost is really too beautiful, too gorgeous, too demonic, and too seductive. As long as a normal man has the ability to suppress her, it is absolutely impossible to remain calm. Even those experienced hands in the flower cannot. Not to mention little virgins like Su Jun. It's not that he's lascivious, it's an instinct as a man. Moreover, he had already harbored evil thoughts before. Tsk tisk. Su Jun looked at the female ghost and laughed, silently agreeing. Do you think this is the reason? So he said to the female ghost in red, what don't you want? Ah. The female ghost clearly felt the power from Su Jun and her face froze. At this moment, Su Jun said again, this room was specially made by me. Whether it's the door or the walls, or even the roof and floor, they were all built with soil stained with black dog blood. Of course, to deceive you, I had someone paint the outside with a layer of paint, but its essence has not changed. You can't leave. That's right, Su Jun bought back all the black dogs in the small town for twice, or even 3 times the price within a day. Finally, take the blood and mix it into the mud. Built this small house. This is his backup, in case he can't handle this ghost and eventually dies in his hands. At least keep her trapped here, so she can no longer harm anyone. Of course, to put it broadly, it is to eliminate this harm in the town. Female ghost. She finally understood why she passed through the door like she had bumped into a Taoist talisman. This human is really excessive. Not giving ghosts any way to survive. Looking at Su Jun, who was looking at her at this moment and his eyes filled with evil energy, he suddenly fell into self-doubt. Is she a ghost after all? Or is the man in front of you a ghost? Otherwise, how could a person be even more ferocious than a ghost? It's clear that she's the most ferocious and evil spirit. She's a female ghost who kills people like a chicken cub, okay. At this moment, Su Jun extended 2 fingers and said, now you have 3 choices. Either from me, or from me, or from me, or from me, to die again, completely annihilated. Speaking of which, Su Jun gave a very charming smile and said, you choose one. The beautiful face of the female ghost froze in an instant. She has been a person for decades and a ghost for decades, but this is the first time she has seen such a shameless person. Are these 3 choices? No matter which one you choose, the result will be the same. I can't escape the consequences of being beaten hard. However, when you think about it, what this human said before was very correct. To ghosts, nothing is illegal. Suddenly, she felt that being a person was safer. At least, there are laws to deter and protect. Now she looked at the human in front of her. Don't mention it, it looks pretty good. If she were a human, it wouldn't be unacceptable. But she is not willing to accept it. A female ghost who had lived for nearly 100 years unexpectedly fell into the hands of a human. And he's still an ordinary person. Although this mortal was very eerie, she suffered a lot. But mortals are mortals. If a Taoist with a bit of moral character were to fall, he would also fall. Sigh. The female ghost sighed in her heart because she had no choice at all now. However, she still wanted to struggle for a while, so she said, "My body is very scared. There are 10 cuts on my face, and the blood is flowing like a clatter. Generally, timid people are scared to death when they see it." Su Jun remained silent for a moment, and then tore off the remaining bit of fabric from his body. Blocked the face of the female ghost. Then, with a serious tone, he said, "Put your head on." As she spoke, she shamelessly scanned the figure of the female ghost. Finally, with a fiery expression in his eyes, he said, "With your physique, it's not a big problem. Just pretend to turn off the lights at night." Female ghost. I'm a ghost, but you're really not human. Whimpering, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Obtaining rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Obtaining rewards. The corners of the mouths of the two people outside couldn't help but rise because they heard the screams of the female ghost. What does this mean? The things that the young master has prepared in the past 3 days are all useful. But then, their expressions became subtle. Gulu. Especially for Wei Guzi, who had not yet undergone human resources, his face turned slightly red, and a thin layer of sweat filled his forehead. His eyes became even more ambiguous. Finally, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Afterwards, he looked towards Zhao Zhong on one side. At this moment, Zhao Zhong happened to look at Wei Guzi. The two of them first stood in unison for a moment, then looked at each other face to face. Finally, Wei Guzi couldn't help but say, "Brother Zhong, how could I hear this voice? It's not quite right, is it?" Cough. Zhao Zhong smiled awkwardly upon hearing this, then coughed twice to cover it up. Finally, a smile that even a man could understand appeared. Dog. Well, when you grow up, you'll understand. Wei Guzi rolled his big eyes and muttered to himself, "Do you really think I don't understand? A few days ago, when I went to find you, you and your wife were just groaning inside the house. Even in broad daylight, they were not ashamed. He hasn't slept well these past 2 days, which has harmed him. I even changed the sheets for 2 days in a row. Now, he is a bit hesitant to see Zhao's sister. Law. Don't ask him why. Of course, these words were just spoken in my heart, but I dare not speak them out. Otherwise, it's easy to get beaten." However, he still felt itchy in his heart and immediately said, "Brother Zhong, how do I feel that this ghost doesn't seem too serious?" After a long time, Su Jun lifted his pants and his eyes became a bit uneasy. After all, the red-clad female ghost in front of me has killed several people. Besides, killing her has many benefits. Maybe you can get excited about a tattoo on your body. At this moment, the female ghost also discovered Su Jun, who had a murderous eye. Immediately startled, almost jumping up, but unfortunately at this moment, the ghost's body was unstable and unable to resist. Besides, I can't resist either. Su Jun silently fastened his waistband and murmured, "Am I not admitting it when I put on my pants?" "No, I'm not admitting it when I put on my pants. It's even worse. But I like it. He is not a Virgin Mary, let alone a person whose appearance is just. Amidst the frightened expression of the female ghost, Su Jun swung his fist and fiercely hit her body. Ah! The female ghost let out a mournful scream and then flew into ashes. Ding! Kill the red-clothed female ghost in the ghost and soldier realm. Activate the red-clothed female ghost with 100 ghost tattoos. Ghost level. Wandering soul, ghost soldier, sharp ghost, ghost general, ghost king, ghost emperor, ghost god, character panel. Host. Su Jun age. 20 body refining. 3 levels after birth, 1 to 10 levels after birth, with each increase doubling the strength of the body. In the 10th level, one enters the state of transformation. Grandmaster, Great Grandmaster, and innate realm, martial arts. Basic fist and foot techniques Qi refining. 6 layers of Qi refining 1 to 10 layers, Earth Masters, Heavenly Masters. Tattoo. Red-clad female ghost art. Ghost body, ghost claw, ghost shadow and mist magic tool. None item. None merit. 1000, I'll strangle it. Did you really activate the tattoo? Su Jun was directly stunned, really. Moreover, he also became a ghost cultivator. But isn't ghost cultivation called ghost cultivation after becoming a ghost after death? The most incredible thing is that it was directly refined into 6 layers. And he also has 3 ghost spells. Even these 3 ghost spells, like a sudden enlightenment, can be mastered directly. It seems as if it has been practiced for decades, very magical. However, this should be the ghost technique of the female ghost in red just now. Especially Ghost Claw, I've seen her use it before. Then, Su Jun pushed open the door and walked out. Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong immediately welcomed him and said, "Young master, are you okay?" Su Jun looked at the two with a worried expression on his face. I nodded involuntarily and said, "It's okay." That's good, that's good." Zhao Zhongxiao's eyes were almost out of sight. Wei Guzi, on the other hand, had a pleasing expression on his face and said with flattery, "Young master, has the matter of marriage proposal been put on the agenda?" "Miss, you are waiting for your favor, young master." As he spoke, he also showed a smile that men all understand. Upon hearing this, Su Jun's smile deepened at the corner of his mouth, and he nodded satisfactorily at Wei Guzi, saying, "You're just a sensible kid. Hurry up and arrange the dowry. In a couple of days, we'll propose a good day and an auspicious day." After finishing speaking, Su Jun gave him a brain teaser and said, "Take away your lewd expression. This is your future young lady. Let me show you again, be careful not to pull out your pair of eyeballs." Upon hearing this, Wei Guzi immediately straightened his face and said, "It's the young master." But soon he showed an ambiguous expression and asked with great curiosity, "Young master, what's it like to play with female ghosts?" As soon as these words were spoken, even Zhao Zhong leaned in. Upon hearing this, Su Jun couldn't help but roll his eyes and said, "Don't worry, find a chance. This young master will let you have a happy night with the female ghost and ensure that you are comfortable." Wei Guzi shuddered and immediately shook his head into a tambourine, saying, "Let's say goodbye then. I don't have the blessing of a young master as a villain. I guess I'll only have the privilege of lying dead when I see a female ghost." Su Jun couldn't help but laugh, this kid still has some self-awareness. Afterwards, as if thinking of something, he asked the 2 people around him, "Tell me, have there been any strange things in town in the past 3 days?" Now he is a systematic person, so naturally he should seize the opportunity to subdue demons and improve his own strength. Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong exchanged a glance, and then Zhao Zhong said, "Speaking of strange things, there's really one thing these days. The old man of the Zhou family moved with his whole family, saying it's because there are ghosts in the Zhou family courtyard." "Mr. Zhou from the Zhou family. Are you haunted?" Su Jun's eyes couldn't help but brighten, as the second richest businessman in the town. How can I not know the name of Mr. Zhou from the Zhou family? After all, he is also a prominent figure in the town who can make it into the top 10. The most important thing is that in the original work, it seems that there really is such a thing. At this moment, he happened to take a look and see if he could fight against ghosts with his strength in refining chi at the 6th level and 3 ghost spells. Coincidentally, this week's ghost at home. Not only is his strength average, but he can also be considered a good ghost. I never hurt anyone. If it weren't for Mr. Zhou building a house on their heads, I wouldn't have scared Mr. Zhou's family. Even if he misses, there is a high probability that he will not be killed. Is there anything more suitable for hand training than these ghosts? Moreover, Mr. Zhou's mansion is not small. It cost a whole $20,000. But now the haunted house is probably not worth a few dollars, is it? Enough low price. Make a big profit. Is there no wrong way to defeat ghosts, practice skills, and make money? Just thinking about it makes me feel beautiful. As soon as Su Jun thought of this, he said to Zhao Zhong on the other side, "You go to Mr. Zhou's place and ask him if his haunted house is for sale." Ah! Zhao Zhong was taken aback for a moment, his eyes full of disbelief. "Young master, that house is haunted. Others can't hide in time. You." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Make a big profit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Make a big profit. Before Su Jun could speak, Wei Guzi on one side gave a blank look and said, "Think carefully. The Zhou family has been haunted for 2 days. Are there any dead people?" Zhao Zhong was slightly taken aback, then shook his head and said, "I haven't heard of this." Wei Guzi said, "What are you afraid of? The young master's tattoo, even that ferocious female ghost, has been shocked and killed. You're still afraid of the Zhou family's ghost, which can only scare people. This is just a big ocean sent to your door. Why don't you pick it up?" It seems like this is really the case. Zhao Zhong's eyes lit up instantly, and then he became excited. "Young master, I'm going to do it." One day later, there was a top-notch mansion in the town. From this house, everyone can see the traces of time. Obviously, this is an old mansion. However, the traces of these years have not affected its appearance. Instead, it gives it a heritage that new homes do not have. It's very reassuring. Especially in front of the house, there is a pair of lion stones, which carry their own prestige. This is the unique spirituality that only comes after years and months. This courtyard, apart from being slightly medium-sized and not considered a first-class mansion in town. It's definitely a top-notch mansion. And this old house is the old house of the Zhou family master. He is also because there are more and more people at home. This old house can no longer be occupied, so the new house was built. But I didn't expect to stay for a few days yet. A ghost started to stir up. Are you saying it's troublesome or not? The old man of the Zhou family was anxiously spinning around the door, muttering to himself, "Why hasn't the Su family kid come yet? It's not just for entertainment, is it?" Butler. Master, I don't think so. Although Su Jun is young, he has been treating people with integrity since taking over the family's business. Moreover, he is also respectful to the elders in the town. Besides, the master has nothing to do with him. There is no reason, nor can he entertain you on this matter, master. This is indeed, the old man of the Zhou family nodded involuntarily upon hearing this. Then there were some sighs. Alas, if those unscrupulous descendants in my family could have Su Junwu become a person to handle things. Even if I die, I can still rest in peace. This. The butler didn't even know how to return, after all, he knew what those young masters in the family were. I'm afraid that once the master leaves, the family business will be ruined in a few years. But at this moment, it's hard to justify not flattering. But with those few goods, he really can't speak up. Just as he was in a difficult situation, he saw Su Jun walking slowly over from the side. He immediately seemed to see a savior. "Master, Su Jun, young Master Su is here." Upon hearing this, Mr. Zhou looked forward. "Su Jun, you're here," he said with a smile on his face. "Mr. Zhou." Su Jun also smiled. After exchanging pleasantries between the two, Mr. Zhou said, "Su Jun, you know I'm a delightful person. My new house was built at a cost of 20,000 yuan. And before it was built, I even invited a feng shui master to see it. It's a feng shui treasure trove with excellent geographical location. You definitely made a profit from buying it, but uncle can still make you suffer a loss." Upon hearing this, Su Jun's eyes twitched. "Is it okay to order a face? Uncle Hui. Is there an uncle who is so deceitful towards younger generations?" Immediately, Su Jun raised his lips slightly and said meaningfully, "Since Uncle Zhou, your house is so good, why do you want to sell it? Why don't you keep it? Little nephew, although you are young, you still understand the principle of a gentleman not winning people's love." Speaking, he bowed and then turned around to leave. Mr. Zhou became anxious for a moment and immediately took a short jog to stop Su Jun, saying, "Alas, my dear nephew, don't get too excited. I haven't offered a price yet. Anyway, listen to me. What if you think it's suitable?" Su Jun did not stop, but continued to leave, adding, "Uncle Zhou, you are not sincere, so there is no need to continue discussing this business. Stop and stop, dear nephew. You say a price. Is that okay? Mr. Zhou is really anxious, this house is haunted. If Su Jun leaves, he won't be able to find the second culprit." Upon hearing this, Su Jun couldn't help but stop. Then he extended a finger towards Mr. Zhou. Mr. Zhou's eyes lit up as he saw this. $10,000. As expected, it would be great if this new house could reclaim $6,000 to $8,000. $10,000 is really an unexpected joy. But the next second, Mr. Zhou's face turned black. Because at this moment, Su Jun shook his head and said, "Uncle Zhou, you misunderstood. I was talking about $1,000. 1,000 oceans." Mr. Zhou couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, and his mouth twitched. At this moment, his gaze at Su Jun changed. "Su Jun, your price is too harsh. I just demolished the house, and the materials for selling and building houses are not even at this price, right? Why don't you call me a good nephew? Is it a little fast?" Su Jun roast in his heart. He almost laughed out loud. However, with a calm expression on his face, he said, "Uncle Zhou, what you said is not right. In business, are you right? As for why I offered such a low price, I think you also know it in your heart. It can sell for a lot of money if you demolish it, but now in the whole town, who dares to go to your new house to work for you?" Mr. Zhou's face turned pale with a blush and he said, "Good nephew. Don't listen to those people talking nonsense." "Nonsense." Su Jun looked at Mr. Zhou with a meaningful expression once again, and finally added, "Uncle Zhou, tell me, why don't you live in a good new house? Are you still in a hurry to sell it? We are all from the same town, and who else can we hide it from?" As he spoke, he extended 1 or 3 fingers and said, "Considering that you are an elder, I will add 2,000 to you. It can also be considered as a way to recover some loss for you. There won't be any more. Think about it, agree, let's establish the document now. If I don't agree, then I can only say goodbye." The expression on the face of the old man of the Zhou family changed again and again, with a new house built for 20,000 yuan and a house built for 3,000 yuan. The other party still gave a face, and I only added a posture of 2,000 yuan to save you face. This mood is simply amazing. However, the thought of ghosts causing trouble in the new house. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, virtuous nephew, I'll give you a written evidence." After finishing everything, Su Jun couldn't wait and arrived at the new house of the Zhou family. Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong had already stood outside the door waiting, while holding a plaque in their hands. Write the 4 characters, Su family farewell courtyard, to me. As soon as Su Jun came over, the two of them immediately welcomed him. How's the young master doing? Have you done it? Su Jun nodded and said, put on the plaque. Starting today, this is my Su family's property. Okay. Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong immediately started moving. And Su Jun pushed open the door and walked into the house. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Activating Fahai tattoos. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Activating Fahai tattoos. After entering the house, it must be said that it was cleaned very clean inside. This is a typical courtyard with a very large space in the middle, which is suitable for future cultivation and skill testing. But inside this house, it looks very spacious. But it gives people a cool feeling, as if the sun in the sky has lost its previous temperature. Summer is as cool as autumn, not to mention Su Jun, who has already cultivated himself. Even ordinary people can sense the anomalies here. Su Jun couldn't help but frown slightly and said, what a heavy yin energy. At this point, Su Jun was already practicing. He is no longer an ordinary person like before, so he uses the spiritual energy in his body to directly push back the yin energy. If this were an ordinary person, even the ghosts here wouldn't come out and cause trouble. Even if one stays under such strong yin qi for a long time, they will also be affected by this yin qi. This can lead to night terrors and nightmares at night. It can also lead to physical weakness and prolonged illness, making it difficult for doctors to save. Even hallucinations and auditory hallucinations can occur, always causing people to fall into madness. If under years and months, one must have a short lifespan. However, Su Jun was not an ordinary person. When he arrived at the main house, he asked someone to clean the beds inside. Afterwards, he sat on it and rested well. It has to be said that the previous female ghost consumed a lot of his energy. He must gather his strength, after all, there is still a fierce battle at night. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, the sun hanging high in the sky had already set. It's really a night of darkness and high winds, killing people. When ghosts and monsters love to appear, 2 figures appear in the courtyard of the Zhou family. If someone were here, they would find that these 2 people only have a figure, but no shadow. One of them exclaimed in surprise, "Sister, it seems like someone has come again." After scaring away so many people, there are still people who dare to come. I want to see what kind of person it is, whether it has eaten the bear's heart and leopard's gallbladder. Sister was also very surprised, but also a little curious. Upon hearing this, the younger sister picked her up and headed toward Su Jun's position, while also coldly saying, "Let's go and scare him. Look at him, did he really eat the bear heart leopard gallbladder?" Brushing. The 2 of them drifted to the room where Su Jun was, and suddenly a gust of dark wind blew through the room. Blow and brush the windows until they make a loud noise. If it were an ordinary person, they would suddenly come like this in the middle of the night. I reckon I'll wake up right away and scream in terror. Su Jun also woke up, but different from ordinary people. He was not only fearless, but also somewhat excited. "Did you come?" I saw him suddenly open his eyes, and then he patted the bed board with his hands, and he stood up immediately. Standing on the bed, look at the 2 sisters in front of the bed. Don't mention that these 2 sisters are not as charming as the ghost before, but they are also very beautiful. Plus their similar faces. Double the absolute charm. After all, the doubled happiness is definitely a fatal temptation for men. Shocking. The sisters were shocked. After all, Su Jun's reaction was quite unexpected. Blinking his eyes, he looked at Su Jun with some curiosity. Normally speaking, normal people should not scream and be extremely frightened. Shouldn't you curl up in the corner trembling? Shouldn't we kneel and beg for mercy? Or hide under the covers, hoping that everything is just an illusion? After all, the people who were scared by them before had this kind of reaction. Some may even be scared or fainted. How could anyone stare at them like this? However, the sisters reacted quickly. Even though Su was a little unusual, they were very confident. I saw a faint gleam in their eyes, and then they scratched their heads and said, "Young master, are we beautiful?" Jie jie jie, Su Jun couldn't help but burst out laughing. Later, spiritual power emerged from him. Instantly caused the temperature in the room to drop by a few degrees. Scared. The two sisters are really scared. The evil spirit is stronger than theirs. The two took a few steps back in shock and then exchanged glances. Sister. Sister, is this a person or a ghost? Why does it look even more ferocious than us? Sister was also a bit confused, but her face immediately darkened and she said, "Just give it a try and you'll know." As soon as the words fell, the whole person quickly drifted towards Su Jun. Afterwards, a palm hit Su Jun's chest. Cut at this point, he had already understood that the two female ghosts in front of him were not as good as the red-clad female ghost he had beaten before. Red clothes like ghosts or ghost soldiers, these two are better. Not even ghosts and soldiers, but the lowest level of flowing souls. It can be said that he is the fifth scumbag among ghosts. It's simply unbeatable. I saw Su Jun's nails on his hands go crazy in an instant, and then he met the other person. Ah! Sister let out a painful cry, and then the whole ghost quickly retreated. Finally, he looked at Su Jun with an incredulous expression. The younger sister on one side exclaimed in surprise, "Ghost Claw." Immediately, he pulled his sister back a few steps and distanced himself from Su Jun. With a wary expression on his face, he looked at Su Jun with great confusion in his heart. How could a human possibly have ghost claws? Even ghosts like them wouldn't know it. Ghost shadows and shadows. In an instant, Su Jun disappeared in the same place, and once again, he had already stood in front of the two sisters. Ah! The two sisters were scared. Afterwards, without even thinking about it, I walked straight through the wall. Outside the room, my younger sister let out a deep breath and said, "I'm scared to death. Is this guy a human or a ghost? How can he know ghost magic? We don't even know it." Sister is much more clever, so she immediately picked up her sister and said, "Now is not the time to discuss this, run." "Jie jie jie, where are you going?" Just as they turned around, Su Jun half of his body had already passed through the wall. Ghosts. The two sisters were stunned because only ghosts could do this in their eyes. People are absolutely impossible. Looking at the two silly and adorable ghosts in front of him, Su Jun chuckled lightly and said, "It's also possible that he used Taoist wall-piercing techniques." Ah! The two sisters froze there. "Are you a Taoist?" She trembled as she hugged each other. Whoever ghosts fear the most is undoubtedly the Taoist who captures ghosts and the monk who subdues demons. Jie jie jie, Su Junxi laughed, while a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. In this world of demons and monsters, enhancing strength is the key, regardless of whether you are innocent or not. After all, ghosts are not protected by the law. Ding, the host has the determination to kill ghosts and eliminate demons. Activate the Fahai tattoo. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained the beginner martial art, Arhat Fist, automatically understood it, systematically perfected it, and your Arhat Fist has reached a perfect state. With this sound, Su Jun suddenly had many understandings about Arhat Fist. In particular, Arhat, the dragon-subduing figure, seems to be imprinted in his soul. As for the essentials of Arhat boxing, it seems that he has been practicing for decades. No, it's more like it's innate. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Exceeding. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Exceeding. The next second, the system sound rang again. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the beginner level, Tripitaka Preface, which automatically comprehends and improves the system for deduction. Your Tripitaka Preface has reached a perfect level. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained the beginner level, Great Dragon True Skill, which has been automatically understood and perfected by the system. Your Great Dragon True Skill has reached a perfect level. Sleeping Slot. Su Jun was completely stunned, he really didn't expect it. After activating the tattoo, you can also obtain boxing techniques and martial arts. And you can directly enter the perfect realm, it's like reaching the top level with just one click. Now it seems that activating which tattoo can obtain the character's cultivation, martial arts, divine powers, and spells from the original character's body. This is amazing. Upon careful consideration, the previous 3 ghost spells were due to the previous female ghost in red. Now that the Fahai tattoo has been activated, obtaining Fahai's martial arts, spells, and divine powers is not very reasonable. Host. Su Jun age. 20 body refining. 6 levels after birth, 1 to 10 levels after birth, with each increase doubling the strength of the body. Grandmaster, Great Grandmaster, Innate Realm, Martial Arts. Arhat Fist Chi Refining. 8 layers of Chi Refining 1 to 10 layers, Earth Masters, Heavenly Masters. Tattoo. Red-clad female ghost art. Ghost body, ghost claw, ghost shadow and mist tattoo. Fahai Martial Arts. The first chapter of the Tripitaka and the Great Heavenly Dragon True Skill Magic Tool. None item. None merit. 1000 amazing, both external skills and chi refining have been improved, which means that his strength has gained another point of self-protection ability in this world where ghosts and monsters are rampant. However, speaking of which, it seems that now it's not just about killing. You can also exceed it, I don't know if you can get rewards. System. Chowdu won't receive any other rewards, but you can get more merits. More merits. Su Jun's eyes couldn't help but brighten up. You should know that merit can be used to activate blood tattoos. In this way, it's not necessary to kill. In the first chapter of the Tripitaka, there is a scripture about transcending unjust souls. In this case, Su Jun looked at the sisters in front of him, and his eyes were kind-hearted. The 2 sisters also seemed to feel the change in Su Jun's eyes. The younger sister immediately begged for mercy. Don't kill us, we already know it's wrong. Sister followed closely behind and said, Young master, please spare us. We have never hurt anyone, even Mr. Zhou's family. We only scared them and let them leave on their own, without truly hurting them. Seeing the 2 of them looking so pitiful, the last trace of killing intent disappeared from their hearts. He is not someone who enjoys killing, if he can surpass them and also receive rewards. Not killing is also possible. Of course, if there is a conflict between the 2. He will kill without hesitation. He's not the virgin. Don't say anything innocent to him when it comes to your own interests. As long as it is not human, all things in the world can be killed. So he said to the 2 sisters, I know, there are more than you hear. There are also your family members, please call them out. I will give you the transcendence and send you to the hell. Then you can go to reincarnation. Ah! The 2 sisters stared at each other. Reincarnation, they never really thought about it. After all, having been a ghost for so many years, it seems like being together as a family is also quite good. Seeing the 2 of them like this, Su Jun's face darkened. You don't even need to use the powerful Tianlong to deal with such little ghosts. After the middle of body training, you can release your chi and blood, and they can't move. Just take you to test the power of Arhat Fist. Legs slightly curved, chi sinking into the dantian. Su Jun's momentum suddenly changed, and his body was filled with blood and energy, surging wildly. Ah! The 2 sisters could not help screaming again, because the blood poured out like flames in the night. Shake away all the yin energy around you. The sisters bear the brunt. The damage received is quite significant. Chi flew backwards and landed 10 meters away. When they stood up, their ghost bodies were already unstable. At this moment, he looked at Su Jun with a frightened expression on his face. Who dares to bully my daughter? At this moment, his face was filled with yin energy, and then he saw the figures of 4 people floating out from below the ground. Afterwards, one of the figures quickly came to his side. Su Jun felt the lateral attack and immediately took a horse stance, concentrating his strength on his fist. Collapse, then, a punch was thrown out. Centered around his fist, chi and blood shook, breaking through the air and the yin energy on the ghost's body, and fiercely bombarding the attacker. This figure flew backwards and landed 10 meters away. Su Jun saw that she was an old woman and should be the mother of the sisters. Seeking death. The other 3 ghosts became even angrier when they saw this. One went around to the left, one went around to the right, and one rushed straight towards Su Jun. 3 ghosts attacked Su Jun from 3 directions and 3 angles. I don't know for sure. Su Jun was angry and said, since that's the case, then I'll send you to see the Tathagata Buddha. Chi and blood are like a tide. Su Jun lifted his leg and stepped on it, instantly entering a state of calmness, and his entire body's chi and blood immediately surged. Take him as the center and sweep around. Like the ripples of water when a stone is thrown into the water. Of course, due to strength reasons. This powerful move, like a rainbow, can only affect a range of 1 meter centered around Su Jun. 1 meter away, the damage decreases sharply. It hardly forms any effective damage. Collapse, 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 but the 3 ghosts that rushed over collided with it. They were directly blasted out and landed in the distance. The ghost body has shown a transparent state, and the colored spirit body is on the edge of collapse. And they lay there one by one, as if dead. Drink! Su Jun let out a loud shout, his legs exerting one force, and his entire body burst out. In less than 2 breaths, he rushed to one of the people and stepped down with his legs raised. Don't! The 2 sisters immediately stood in front of Su Jun and begged, let them go. Let's go to the hell, and let's reincarnate. Sigh. Su Jun let out a sigh, but ultimately did not take any action. Then he said, sure enough, my heart is too soft. The 2 sisters took a look, and their relatives, who were about to disappear, were lost in thought. All the evil deeds created in the past all are driven by greed, anger, and ignorance without a beginning derived from body language and meaning. I confess everything now, 3 times, I respectfully request the compassionate protection of King Tibetan Bodhisattva Yanluo, 3 times. In the end, Su Jun sat on the ground and began reciting the transcendent part of the Tripitaka quickly. All the obsession and resentment on the 6 of them were gone. Afterwards, the passage to the underworld opened and 2 figures appeared. Their gaze first swept over the 6 ghosts in the scene. Afterwards, it fell on Su Jun. The 2 of them glanced at each other, both seeing surprise in each other's eyes. Brother Nyo, this kid is a bit of a cult. He not only has the Buddha's light and the chi and blood of martial artists, but also the yin energy of ghosts. It's so strange. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. 5 trees recruit ghosts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. 5 trees recruit ghosts. Nyo 2. Brother Ma, I also think it strange. However, no matter what, leaving him alone here to transcend a few souls is probably the right path. Ma Mian nodded at the words. If this is an evil way, seeing these souls will either destroy them directly or take them for personal use. How could it be so kind to give it extra? At the same time, he was somewhat curious about Su Jun. Because he knows that the world this person is in is a world of spiritual exhaustion. Practitioners are becoming increasingly difficult, and there are only a few who can communicate with the underworld and send their souls into it. Now there is another person. That's right, these two are the legendary underworld gods, Nyo Tu Ma Mian. Nyo Tu Ma Mian and Black and White Impermanence, although they are both the underworld differences, their identities and positions are different. Black and White Impermanence is relatively free, and one can often wander in the mortal world, catch ghosts, and seek justice in the underworld. And Nyo Tu Ma Mian stayed in the underworld as a guard, with the responsibility of leading troops to suppress the fierce ghosts on the 18th floor. No one can leave the underworld without orders. Now Su Jun, this is Chowdu sending the ghost directly down. So, it's under their jurisdiction. After the ghosts were sent into their hands, they were then sent by their subordinates to the judge. Conduct a trial. A good person can remember merits and devote themselves to wealthy families. The wicked will be sent directly to the 18 levels of hell for punishment. So, don't act out of small evil, don't act out of small goodness. In front of the judge, everything you had before your death was nowhere to hide. At this moment, Nyomian waved his hand, and this weak channel immediately generated a strong suction force. Inhale a few ghosts into it. Finally, Nyo Tu and Ma Mian examined Su Jun again. Then, with another wave of his hand, the channel instantly closed. Sleeping trough. This can't be the legendary ox-headed horse Noodles, can it? At this moment, Su Jun finally came to his senses. That's right, Nyo Tu Ma Mian saw Su Jun at the same time. Su Jun also saw the bull's head and horse's face, but at that moment, Su Jun's mind was blank. It's not that he has poor psychological resilience, it's just too shocking. This is a cow's head and horse's face. Although, in the entire mythology, those are the least mainstream characters. But if you don't enter the mainstream, it's also a negative difference. He is also a divine general in the underworld. Su Jun couldn't help but take a breath and murmured, I forgot to say hello to Brother Nyo and Brother Ma. Thinking about how he looked just now, he couldn't help but cover his face and say, I've never seen the world before. It's really embarrassing. I've even thrown it into the underworld. At this moment, the system sounds. Ding. The host has surpassed 6 ghosts and obtained 3,000 merits. 3,000 merits. Su Jun's eyes couldn't help but light up, and he nodded in satisfaction, not bad, not bad. So, feeling happy, he walked into his own room. Once the ghosts in the house are taken care of, there will naturally be no more trouble. Su Jun returned to bed and slept until dawn. Then he stretched lazily. Young master. As soon as I left, I saw Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong. The two of them saw Su Jun with a relaxed demeanor. I naturally understand that his young master has already dealt with the ghosts here. So this house has earned 17,000 yuan for nothing. Su Jun. Early in the morning, seeing 2 men waiting at their doorstep always felt strange. Suddenly, I felt a little regretful and said to myself, should I have left the sisters yesterday? Otherwise, what I saw in the morning was a pair of sisters' flowers. It seems that we should find an opportunity to get some warm bed girls. Otherwise, this long night would be so lonely. Immediately, his face turned straight and he said, what's going on? The 9th master of Mao Shan has returned. He heard that the female ghost who likes to send love letters has sent them to our Su family. He came specifically to take a look. As soon as the 9th master was mentioned, both Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong looked respectful. It is evident that Jui has a high reputation and status in the town. Not just them, even Su Jun is the same. As far as he knows, 9th Lord didn't even come back last night. Obviously, he returned early in the morning, and as soon as he returned, I came over specifically. It shows how much he values it. Furthermore, according to the memory of his predecessor, the 9th master of Mao Shan is somewhat similar to Lin Zhengying, the 9th uncle of the film and television world. He also has two disciples, Guan and Xiaohao. Guan looks like Su Guaniying, the character who played literary talent, and Xiaohao looks like Qian Xiaohao, the character who played Qiu Sheng. Whether it's their physique, appearance, or magical personality, if they didn't know that this was a fictional world, they could easily be mistaken for Jiushu, Shitu, and others. Su Jun has long wanted to see each other. So he immediately said, "Where is the ninth master?" Wei Guzi. Jiu Yi heard that you have already moved in here, so he came with us. He is waiting outside the door now. Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong are just servants. Without the consent of the owner Su Jun, one dare not let anyone in. Even the ninth lord they admire. And Jui didn't force himself. This is the rule of dealing with people and things. Nodding in satisfaction with Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong, he said, "Why don't you invite me? It would be impolite to have Jui stand outside the door. It's the young master, I'll go invite the ninth master in now." Wei Guzi said and immediately ran out. Zhao Zhong. "Young master, you haven't had breakfast yet. I'll have someone prepare some breakfast and then brew tea to entertain the ninth master." It has to be said that he is still quite thoughtful. Su Jun couldn't help but add, "Jiu Yi came so early and probably didn't have breakfast. You should also prepare some." At the same time, Guan and Xiaohao looked excited as they looked at the mansion in front of them. They feel like this is going to be posted today. Two people exchanged a glance. Afterwards, Guan couldn't help but say, "Master, do you really think there are ghosts in this house?" Jiu Yi did not answer directly, but pointed to a large locust tree in front of the door and said, "Is there any ghost?" "Let's not say for now. Can you tell me what this locust tree has to say?" "Ah." Xiaohao and Guan were both stunned, then turned their heads to look at the locust tree. Guan didn't even think about it and said directly, "There's a locust tree in front of the door. It's either a treasure or a source of wealth." Jui nodded and then looked at Xiaohao. Xiaohao shook his head repeatedly and said, "5 trees attract ghosts, don't you really know?" Guan looked bewildered and said, "5 trees attract ghosts. What does that mean?" Xiaohao. 5 trees attract ghosts, they are the 5 trees that are easy to attract ghosts. 1. Melia tree. Melia tree, also known as bitter melia tree, has bitter fruit. Melia tree is a shade tree and is prone to attracting ghosts. 2. Mulberry tree. The word mulberry sounds the same as mourning. Planting mulberry trees symbolizes the possibility of mourning, which is very unlucky. 3. Poplar. Poplar, also known as ghost clapping hands, is one of the shade trees that easily provoke ghosts. 4. Willow tree. Willow trees have a soul-summoning effect and can touch ghosts, making them the tree of the ghost world. Of course, if used well, you can also beat ghosts. Even used to ward off evil spirits. Normal people don't understand the reason behind it, so it's best not to plant willows at home or in front of your door. If one is not good at exorcising evil, it will attract ghosts instead. Finally, there is the locust tree. It has a relationship with ghosts and is known as the ghost in the wood. Extremely easy to attract ghosts. Jui nodded in satisfaction and said, "I didn't teach you a lesson in vain." As you spoke, Guan immediately shrank his neck. With a guilty expression on his face. And Xiaohao was somewhat proud. Seeing this, Jui immediately added, "However, what Guan said is also right." Ah! Both Guan and Xiaohao were stunned. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. People cannot judge their appearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. People cannot judge their appearance. The locust tree, like the willow tree, is a very special existence. It is, a locust tree in front of the door, either a treasure or a ghost. It depends on the popularity of the host family. The male population in the house is prosperous, and the yang energy in the house is naturally strong. The combination of yin and yang with this shameful tree will create a very unique human tree feng shui pattern. And this person's feng shui bureau has the function of attracting wealth and treasures. So, Guan is also right. It's just too one-sided. However, if the family's offspring are thin, the yang energy in the house is thin, and it is impossible to form this special human tree feng shui pattern with this locust tree. So, what is recruited is not wealth, and what is entered is not treasure, but rather a thing of yin and evil. So, if you want to plant locusts in your family, you need to see how many men there are in your family. If there are not enough males, then it's better not to plant them well. If there is already something in front of the door, it must be cut off early. Unless using a pure yang magic tool to control the house. Use it to replace humans and form a feng shui pattern of yin and yang harmony with the locust tree. For example, the pair of stone lions in front of the old man's house in town last week. At this moment, Wei Guzi happened to arrive at the door and heard what Jui had said. A pair of eyeballs couldn't help but spin around. It seemed like they were trying some crazy idea. However, without saying anything, he greeted him with a smile and said respectfully, "Ninth Master, my young master invites you inside. Please." After speaking, he made a gesture of invitation to come in. Then, lead the way ahead. What a big house. As soon as they entered the house, Xiaohao and Guanyin looked shocked. Meanwhile, walking at the end, they exchanged a glance at each other. Then, Chi showed a bad smile. After getting together, Xiaohao said, "This time, we must slaughter them hard." Guanyin nodded wildly, but immediately hesitated. But didn't they say they had already disposed of the female ghost? Xiaohao rolled his eyes and said, "In the whole town, besides our master, who else has ever seen the ability to ward off evil spirits and collect ghosts?" When he said this, Guan Ying's eyes lit up and she nodded wildly again. Because he felt that Xiaohao was too right. Soon, led by Wei Guzi, they arrived at the living room. At this moment, Su Jun had already washed up and was eating breakfast and drinking tea. Upon seeing Ninth Lord enter, he immediately stood up and greeted him, "Ninth Lord, come to my place as soon as you come back. I don't think you've had breakfast yet. I've also prepared some for you to try." Good. Su Jun was so enthusiastic, and Jiu Yi was also very helpful. And at the invitation of Su Jun, he sat in the guest seat. Taking a sip of tea, my eyes couldn't help but brighten. Good tea. Su Jun heard the words and said, "This is the tip of the hair collected this year, which is quite good. If Jiu Yi likes it, he will bring some back later." No. The ninth master immediately waved his hand and said, "No merit, no reward." Su Jun laughed heartily and then said, "Ninth Lord, you don't need to be polite. How much trouble have you dealt with in the town over the years? As a member of the town, you can't help but understand." "You say so." Jui was overjoyed by Su Jun's praise. However, he also did not forget the main matter. After entering, he has been observing all along, and this house is full of yin energy, and there have indeed been ghosts and objects around. However, if the ghost is still there, the yin energy will condense but not disperse. But now, under the rising sun, the yin energy is gradually dissipating. I'm afraid in a few days, the yin energy in this house will completely dissipate. So, at first glance, it's clear that there are really many ghosts in this house. At least they were driven out, otherwise there wouldn't have been such a scene. But listen to Wei Guzi and Zhao Zhong talking about this ghost. Even the evil spirits that killed several people before were all handled by this young master of the Su family. This made him very curious about Su Jun and couldn't help but carefully examine him a few times. Although he doesn't have the eye for bull's head and horse's face, he can still see some tricks. My eyes narrowed slightly, my gaze fixed. Finally, hesitantly, he asked, has Master Su already entered the realm? Entering the Tao is actually about perceiving qi and possessing spiritual power. Become an alchemist. Su Jun didn't hide anything and nodded, lucky, I accidentally got in. Let Ninth Lord laugh. If there's anything in the future, take me with you and let me practice my hands. Xiaohao. No way. Guan Ning. Absolutely not. Jui hasn't even spoken yet, these two guys can't sit still. He looked at Su Jun with an unkind expression on his face. Su Jun. I muttered inwardly, if it weren't for looking at you two, one like Qiusheng and the other like Wen Kai, with a kind face and a favorable impression, I would have gone berserk. Is this treating him as a business snatcher? Just the money for Jui to catch ghosts and eliminate zombies. Isn't it enough for him to pay for a meal? Can he look up to it? Jui is not foolish, how could he have thought of this? Feeling embarrassed and thrown home, I couldn't help but kick these unreliable disciples out. But this is a disciple I received myself. Dear. He could only swallow the bitter water and glare at the two of them, then said, young Master Su, don't have the same views as these two disciples. If you really encounter any problems in the future, please ask young Master Su to help. Sigh. Su Jun couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Look, how can Jui talk? Take a look at these two disciples again. It's really hard to say in one word. Anyway, if he had these two disciples, either he would kick these two goods out of the sect on the first day. Either directly get angry to death. However, Jiu Yi still needs to give face, and we will have to rely on his strange attacks in the future. So he waved his hand and said with a clear conscience, no problem, I also quite like you two disciples. You are straightforward. Guanyin and Xiaohao had nothing more to say, but they met Jui's warning-filled eyes. After exchanging pleasantries, Jui left. After all, his purpose in coming is to collect ghosts, and now the ghosts are no longer there. What's the need to stay here? As soon as he left the house, Guanyin couldn't help but say, Master, this guy is clearly trying to steal our business. The ninth master waved the tea leaves that Su Jun had given him before Guanying's eyes, saying, do you know how much money this top-notch tip costs? Guanying. How much? Xiaohao said on the side, it's not too expensive, it's only a few dollars. My sister's store also has something to buy. Jui couldn't help but roll his eyes, with an expression that you didn't know. Seeing this, Xiaohao couldn't help but weaken his momentum and said, isn't it? Jui said, your sister's hair tip is also pretty good, but it's also pretty good among ordinary hair tips. He can weigh 1 pound of hair tip in your sister's store. Ah! Xiaohao and Guanyin exclaimed in surprise, it was obvious that their worldview had been somewhat challenged. Finally, his gaze was fixed on the tea leaves in Jui's hand, because there were about 5 taels here. Just a few tens of dollars. Is this tea you're drinking? What a big ocean to drink. Jiu Yi felt a bit resentful and said, so. Do you think he will care? The money we earn is not enough for his next restaurant. Xiaohao. Guanyin. At this moment, Jui turned around and took a look. Because he saw that Su Jun not only had a sense of qi on his body, but only a refined qi practitioner. The whole person is exceptionally calm. There is also a calm and confident aura throughout the person. However, this momentum has not yet fully formed. But in the eyes of this discerning person, it was already quite remarkable. Murmured, besides being an alchemist, he is also a martial arts powerhouse. He is really young. In the future, his achievements will be above mine. End of this chapter.